Welcome to Niagara Falls, USA. Niagara Falls is one of the largest waterfalls in the world. Niagara Falls is a group of three waterfalls at the southern end of Niagara Gorge, between the Canadian province of Ontario, US state of New York. If you see the map, you can see center of Niagara River is the border of USA and Canada. Niagara Falls have the highest flow rate of any waterfalls in the North America. It's a 6 million cubic feet of water goes over the coast of the waterfalls every minute. If you see the history of Niagara Falls, the Native American was living here. The region was most likely the first people beyond the power of Niagara Falls. After that, Niagara Falls was discovered by the French explorer Father Louis in December 1678. Then the region soon became a French stronghold. After that end of the Niagara River, a fort was built at the mouth of the Niagara River, controlling the access to the Great Lakes. The forts you will see the end of the video. I have visited this old fort was built by French. So you can see that fort details at the end of the video. The fort was restored between 1926 and 1934, and now still they are restoring it, and it's become a tourist attraction in Niagara. Not only the falls themselves powerful, but the city of Niagara was the birthplace of hydraulic power in 1896. Since its formation of 12,000 years ago, Niagara Falls became the destination for world explorers, honeymooners. Most people will start visiting this location very long time ago. Only here you can get the closer than you ever imagined to the American horseshoes and the tidal wave falls, and create a mist-covered memories of to the last a lifetime. And here you see the arch-shaped bridge is called Rainbow Bridge. It's a border crossing bridge between USA and Canada. So before you entering the bridge, you have to go through all the security procedures and immigration and everything. And when you enter to Canada, you have to do the same thing for the Canadian side. So this is the link between two countries. So if you go over this rainbow bridge, you will see the full view from both sides of this Niagara River and also the Niagara Falls. The total length of the bridge is 442 meters. It was constructed in May 4, 1940. Niagara Falls. This is a Canadian part in Ontario. It's an observation tower that overlooks the American Falls, New York, and the larger Horsforth Falls, Ontario from Canadian side of Niagara. Here you see the photo. You will see the full observation view and full observation deck on the top of the Skylon tower. So you will see the full picture from the top of this tower. If you go to Canada and Ontario. When you come to Niagara Falls, there is called Goat Island tour with the Maid of the Mist. You must go for this boat ride to see the entire Niagara Falls. The ticket starting from $25 for a boat ride. It depends on what type of package you take. It's maximum of including dinner, lunch packages up to $200 the tickets will cost. It depends on which package you choose. The boat ride, the name of the boat ride, the Maid of the Mist. It's a boat tour of Niagara Falls, starting and ending to the American side and crossing the Ontario and Canada side. So you will be going almost below the exact waterfall. So you can see in the video we are going through this boat ride to the end of the waterfalls. The original Maid of the Mist was built at a landing near Niagara Falls on the American side of the border. The boat was christened in 1846 as a border crossing ferry. Its first trip was September 18, 1846. This original Maid of the Mist was designed primarily as a link for a proposed ferry service between New York City and Toronto. It was a 72-foot long side wheeler with an 18-foot beam which was provided by steam produced from a wood and coal fired boiler. It would carry up to 100 passengers. This ferry work did well until 1848 when the opening of suspension bridge between United States and Canada. Then this ferry service was cut and it was then used for the tourist ferry only. So I'm going to show you the interesting part of Niagara Falls. When it's to reach to winter, Niagara Falls will be completely frozen and will become ice. You see the over all this water become ice. So I'm going to show you some photographs and videos how it will look when in the winter the temperature reach to -15 to -40. Report, you'll see how these Niagara Falls falling into frozen ice.
What made you decide you wanted to be the first person to climb Niagara Falls?
Well, it's Niagara Falls. It's the largest, wildest, most iconic waterfall of the world. You know, if you're an ice climber, the idea of climbing Niagara Falls sounds just great, mostly.
Mostly? What are the biggest obstacles to it? What's the toughest thing about it?
Well, there's a few things that are really hard about it that aren't normal. First of all, there's 8,000 cubic feet a second of water ripping off the edge of that waterfall. So that's like 4,000 semi-trucks going off every second.
Wow.
And if you got in the way of that, it would obviously not work out well, you know. And then it's the oldest state park in the United States, and it's an icon.
The route you climbed, I understand it started over an area that you call the Cauldron of Doom. That does not sound like a good start.
No, the Cauldron of Doom that would be a very bad place if you wound up in there. All that water from Niagara Falls is just smashing down, and it's like the world's largest cement mixer or something. And if you went into the Cauldron of Doom, that would not be good. So definitely before I started climbing, we had to make really sure that I would not fall into the Cauldron of Doom. And as my mom said, hang on tight when I was climbing in there.
That's your mom's advice. That's wise advice from her. And I understand the ice that you're climbing, it's not actually all ice, right? I mean, what is it?
It's kind of like meringue. What happens is all that spray from Niagara Falls floats out and then sticks onto the icy rock wall right behind there. And it's kind of like climbing frozen clouds. And then there's obviously the water, direct water as well. And it all comes together in this really volatile mixture. And you've got to be pretty careful climbing it because it's not as stable as a normal sort of waterfall is when it's frozen. And yeah, it was pretty exciting. You whack it occasionally, and big chunks are coming off. You know, that
sounds
it gets your
terrifying.
attention.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, also, are you completely wet during all this? Because you're really close to the falls.
Yeah, you know, it is scary actually, because it's the only place I've ever been where you can feel the earth shake from the force of the falls. Like you can feel it in your guts. It's so loud. And then look over my shoulder, and there's Niagara Falls, absolutely ripping by. And the water switched a little bit at one point, and I got a big couple of buckets of Niagara Falls water down my neck, and it's cold to begin with, and you put some water into it, and it's one of those environments where you want to keep your mind very, very focused for sure.
And I mean, sometimes you put in your axe, and we just saw some video where the ice just falls away.
Yeah, that's part of that is cleaning it. You've got to knock off the loose bits, but some of the pieces I was knocking off were a lot larger than I planned on. And they can knock your feet out as well, and then you're going to go the distance. But it is important to note that I've got a rope on here, so I'm still going to fall quite a ways if I do fall. But the whole idea here is to be able to do this another day, and we had to convince the Park Service that this wasn't a stunt like going over the falls in a barrel. And in the end, they gave us their wholehearted support. You know, it was just great to work with them. But this is what I do. I've been doing it for 30 years, and started ice climbing with my dad. So it's definitely not a one-off stunt. Well, climbing Niagara Falls is. I don't think
you're not going to do it
get
again.
To do that again.
Yeah. What's the feeling like when? I mean, I just saw in the video you standing essentially on the edge after having completed this climb. Even standing on the edge makes my knees. Even watching you stand on the edge like that makes my knees shake. What is that feeling like? I mean, is it just complete exhilaration, exhaustion? Are you just freezing cold? Are you totally like adrenaline pumping? What is it?
Probably a little bit of all of those emotions, but that's a wild place to be, to stand right on the edge of Niagara Falls and look at all that water. You know, it's one of the natural wonders of the world. That is one amazing place, and just to feel all that power and look down at the ice below and just experience that place in a way that very few people get to. I felt very, very lucky to be there. And, one of the highlights of my life for sure.